the 2016 Scion FR-S. Without question, this is one of the best overall value sports coupes that you can buy today. And what's kind of interesting is you better buy one now because the Scion FR-S is not going to be around for much longer. I'm Jay, and welcome to the latest episode of Carbuzz Unboxing Reviews. And this, yes, of course, is the Scion FR-S. And before I get started, I want to thank Toyota Marin for letting Carbuzz come on down and film this car for you today, because I'm actually really excited to talk to you about it. Now, I followed the progress of the production of this car since the first concepts of it debuted back in 2007. There was another concept in 2009, and then the final, just before a production ready concept, came in 2011 at Geneva. And just like so many, driving enthusiasts, I was really excited to see this car happen, because what Scion and, its parent company Toyota has essentially done here is return to that back to basics front engine rear wheel drive sports coupe. Naturally aspirated engine, no frills, just basic, just a lot of fun to drive. And what you just heard was its engine. It's a 2-liter boxer engine. It's got a total of 200 horsepower and 151 pound-feet of torque. I'll get to more of the engine details in just a few minutes. But what you need to know about the Scion FR-S is that 2016 is its last model year, but don't worry, you can still buy this car. It's just going to be called the Toyota 86 starting in 2017. Basically, the reason is that Scion is shutting its doors completely. Scion, if you recall, it was supposed to be the youth brand for Toyota, and the only really interesting car it ever had was this, and it just wasn't good enough for one car to carry the brand forever. So Toyota just decided to, alright, just get rid of Scion, take what's best, the FR-S, and rebadge it as a Toyota, and there we have it. Yes, the boxer engine. So what is a boxer engine here? Well, and as you can see, it says Subaru on it, and it's basically Subaru's horizontally opposed design, and because of its flat architecture, it allows it to be mounted low, and it sits as far back in the engine bay for better weight distribution. In this case, 53/47 front and rear. And it's also good for a really low center of gravity. And in fact, this engine sits lower than the twin-turbo V6 in the Nissan GT-R. And when you have a lower center of gravity, you get better performance. Again, rear-wheel drive. It's just a lot of fun to be in. Now, there are two transmissions you can get in an FR-S. You have the 6-speed manual or a 6-speed automatic. And this car, well, it has a 6-speed automatic. Okay, the automatic, it does come with paddle shifters, but, and this is just my personal opinion, but if you're going to get a car like this, a pure driver's car, go for the manual. That's what it's all about, and I say the exact same thing when I'm talking about the Mazda MX-5 Miata. I did an unboxing review of that, as well as the new MX-5 Miata RF. That RF also actually had an automatic, and I just didn't like seeing it. So my advice, go for the manual, learn to drive stick. Now, these are 17-inch wheels, and it's an okay design. I don't think it's all that great of a look, but it could be a lot worse. And I have a few comments about the overall exterior, and I really like the front end. I also really like the rear. I love this engine, even though that's under the hood. It's the side view of the car that I kind of have a problem with. It's just kind of uninspiring. And when you see more of the side views in the exterior of the car, I think you'll understand why. But basically, this car was so popular when it first came out that there were 7,000 orders were placed for the Toyota GT86 in the first month of production. What is a Toyota GT86? It is the exact same version of this car that's sold overseas. Scion FR-S is sold in the United States and Canada. Japan, Europe, they all got the Toyota GT86, as well as the Subaru BRZ, which is the exact twin of this car with a few changes, mainly a different front end and different badges, maybe a little different, slightly different packaging, and the suspension is tuned very, very slightly different. Other than that, exact same cars. The interior, so as you can see, black with red stitching. It's an okay interior. Now, you're going to see that there are some components here that they didn't use the best quality. Some of the plastics are a little cheap, but that's because Toyota and Subaru wanted this car to be affordable. And yes, those are a couple of rear seats. This is a 2+2, 2 in the front, 2 in the rear seats that are almost like that of a Porsche 911. Borderline useless for human beings. But they fold flat, which allows for increased trunk space, and when you have 2 rear seats, it actually, if you're a decent driver, it will reduce your insurance costs. Bear that in mind. Yeah, there it is. 6-speed, automatic. Manual would be a lot better. Anyway, taking a look at this overall interior design and layout, I like it. It's nothing fancy. It's back to basics. It's straightforward, and it does the job. I do like these seats. They were actually very comfortable. And one of the things that Subaru and Toyota worked on was just to create the ideal driver's coupe. That means a great driving position, which, yeah, they nailed it. And they actually benchmarked the Porsche Cayman, which is now the 718 Cayman, because, well, it's now turbocharged. And they benchmarked the Cayman specifically for its handling abilities. They wanted this car to be able to deliver all the fun of that Porsche for thousands of dollars less. And yeah, compared to the previous generation Porsche Cayman, I think they delivered. So looking at the dash there, you have a Pioneer 7-inch touchscreen with audio. There's a rear view backup camera, digital analog speedometer, and a leather trim steering wheel. There's also Bluetooth. Okay, I know just by looking at this that this is not the best touchscreen system out there. As I mentioned in my previous reviews of, say, the Toyota Corolla, their Entune touchscreen system, I really don't like it. It's just not as good as, well, the competition's, but it works. But one of the best things about the Scion FR-S is that the car itself, whether you're going for more power or suspension tweaks or redoing the interior, it's so tunable. And that's what they wanted buyers to be able to do. They said, okay, look it, we're giving buyers just an outstanding little sports coupe with just the right amount of power, 200 horsepower, like I said, all going to the rear wheels, and let the owners do what they want. Meaning people have been turbocharging them, supercharging them, and I've even heard of people, one guy actually in particular, putting in a Ferrari 458 V8 engine into this thing. So yes, there are endless possibilities, rather tuning possibilities for this car, but even if you just want to keep it stock, it's no problem. I was at the Nürburgring recently, and I met a guy there, and his daily driver back in, I think it was Washington, D.C., was a Scion FR-S, and he just wished he was able to bring it with him to the Nürburgring in Germany, and unfortunately that wasn't possible. So let's talk safety. What's kind of cool here is that this earned an overall 5-star crash test rating from the US government. You also have stability and traction control, anti-lock brakes, driver and passenger airbags, seat-mounted side airbags, side curtain airbags, tire pressure monitoring system, and even a first aid kit. Yeah, there's that automatic again. Definitely not as cool as a manual. Now, the paddle shifters, they were actually okay to use. I would definitely, if I had the automatic, be taking advantage of the paddle shifters just because it gives me the sense of being in control somehow. So what's the performance like here? Now, I want you to understand something very clearly. This is not meant to be like a straight line performance car. 0 to 62 miles per hour happens in 7.6 seconds, and you have a top speed of 145 miles per hour. Fuel economy, 25 miles per gallon in the city, 34 on the highway, and a combined 28. But then again, this car weighs only around 2,800 pounds. Just for comparison, a Mazda MX-5 Miata, the current 4th generation, weighs around 2,200 pounds. And so you're looking at right around the same ballpark figure here. And again, weight reduction was key. For an example, you don't even have power seats here. They're just manually adjustable, which is just fine for a car like this. Now, compared to the Porsche Cayman, this is not like a luxury sports car or anything like that, and that is what we need to appreciate about it. It's just a purest driver's car. Its heritage goes back to, for an example, the 1967 Toyota 2000 GT that also had a 2-liter engine. And if you compare the two cars, this one and the 1967 2000 GT side by side, you're going to see some styling similarities. Now, there was also, from 1983 to 1987, the Toyota AE86. That was essentially a rear-wheel drive Toyota Corolla. Yes, at one point, the Toyota Corolla was rear-wheel drive. It was a hatchback, and that little car became a drifting legend. So, Toyota was like, all right, we want to take advantage of the history that we have of sports cars, and we're going to package it all into one affordable coupe. And this is what it is. Now, I don't like this. Yes, I know it's a trunk, but what I think would have been so much cooler, and I don't know why Toyota and Subaru didn't do this, was to get rid of this conventional trunk here and make it like a 5-door, or excuse me, just like a hatchback design, like a 3-door hatch, kind of like the Aston Martin Vantage. And I think from the side profile of the car, just having that hatch design would have just been just so much sleeker and cooler looking. But it's a decent sized trunk. I mean, you're not going to get a whole lot of stuff in there for long road trips, but this is a great daily driver. You can get more or less what you need there, and with that seat folded down, even more stuff, because look it. Those rear seats are just so tiny, they're just best left for stuff. So let's talk about this exterior styling. Now, like I mentioned earlier, I really like this front end. It's a little different than the Subaru BRZs. This car's got these kind of that fang design up on the front bumper. I dig that. This also has optional fog lights. Those cost $495 more. Why not go for them? And also, the rear is roughly, I think, the same as the BRZ. Oh, and in case you didn't know, FR-S, what it stands for is Front Engine Rear-Wheel Drive Sport. And BRZ stands for Boxer Rear-Wheel Drive Zenith. Okay, side view of the car. You see what I mean? Look at the trunk, and don't you think that if this had just a typical rear hatch like the Aston Martin Vantage, it would have looked even better? I mean, this platform is a car designer's dream platform, a small rear-wheel drive front engine car. And from the side view, it's just kind of uninspiring. Don't get me wrong, it's not ugly. It's just a little too plain. And when you have such an awesome platform to work with, I mean, this platform was developed specifically for this car. It's not shared with anything else. Both the BRZ and the FR-S, as well as the Toyota GT86 and now the rebranded Toyota 86, they're all made side by side at Subaru's factory in Japan. I mean, this car, it could have looked better from the outside than what you see here. And if you looked at some of those early concepts, especially the one from 2009, I think you'd agree with me. So, pricing. This car, $26,405. Add in those fog lights, $495, along with delivery and handling. All told, $27,695. Subaru BRZ is maybe about $1,500 more. Mazda MX-5 Miata and the RF, also in the same ballpark, high 20s, low 30s. And then you have the new Porsche 718 Cayman that has a base price of $54,000. I mean, this car is literally half the price and all the same amount of fun. So, Scion FR-S, you can't go wrong with it. But I'm out of time for today. Everyone, thanks for watching. Ask any more questions for me, leave them for me in the comment section, and I'll see you next time.